Raider Nation, it's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, questions, comments from Raider Nation. This video was filmed before we went live on Thursday Night Football. And for those of you that do not know, we're going to be live an hour 25 before kickoff on Sunday when the Chicago Bears travel to Allegiant Stadium to take on the Silver and Black. Now, if you're like sitting at home and you're like, hey, Mitch, how do I get questions on a future show? The way that you can do it is you can tune in by subscribing and using hashtag Raiders or Super Chat to get there. Because we got two teams here that are 1-2. Two teams here that got a brand new head coach. I was sitting clamoring for Ben Johnson all off season, and now, you got Ben Johnson's team. I've seen them be favorites. I've seen them be underdogs. This is going to be a really, really tough football game for both teams to win. Let's go to the first question coming in here from the Night Devil. What is it going to take for the Raiders to change up, if not the line, at least out of pistol and out of zone? I was kind of looking at a stat the other day about how often the Raiders play certain, defensive schemes, and it's kind of what Patrick Graham is. He's a little bit vanilla at times. I want to see some more blitz packages, but I agree with you, Fabian. And, we talk so much about the offensive line, but I think we don't realize how often we run out of pistol and how often we play out of pistol and how often it doesn't work, how often the spacing on a lot of the routes that Chip Kelly's cooking up, they don't look all that great. Yes, the concentration has been on the O-line, but there are a lot of things that I think the Raiders need to learn from and a lot of adjustments that need to be made on a weekly basis because, again, when you hear the way that this coaching staff is talking about this team, it sounds like we just started learning about this team 3 weeks ago. Last time I checked, this staff wasn't hired 3 weeks ago. Let's go to Los Oakland Raiders 94. If we continue losing, do you think Pete is going to trade Jacoby and JPJ? I mean, if you were to ask me which player do I think is more likely to be traded, I would say Jackson Powers-Johnson. The only reason why I just don't think they're going to trade Jacoby is because of the relationship that Pete and Gino do honestly have. And obviously, if they moved on from Jacoby, that kind of puts a lot of our young receivers in a difficult position because Besh isn't ready yet. Dante is still learning. Yes, Trey Tucker's been doing a lot of solid stuff. But to me, Jacoby's not going to be an option unless the team offers us like a third-round pick. Then I could see maybe the Raiders listening. For Jackson Powers-Johnson at this point, I'm actually more confident that JPJ finishes his, we'll say, in the next 2 years. I think JPJ's on another team, and I don't think he's a Raider if Pete Carroll's the head coach. Let's go to Carter. What up, man? What would JPJ's trade value be? Minkah Fitzpatrick for JPJ. You're not even close. And, to me, I would want a third-round pick for Jackson Powers-Johnson because I view him as our second-best offensive lineman. I view him as a legit Pro Bowl level type of center. I don't know what the Raiders are doing with him necessarily, so that value is going to be down. But if you wanted to get Minkah for JPJ, you probably got to throw in a second-round pick or probably a third-round pick or something like that. But I am serious when I say this. I do not blame JPJ if he wanted to look for another team. I wouldn't blame his agent if they went around and looked for another team because clearly this Raiders organization, this Raiders coaching staff has something against Jackson Powers-Johnson. And the only reason why that I say that, listen to Chip Kelly's comments, listen to Pete Carroll's comments. There's a lot of emotions around a valid question. Speaking of a valid question, will JPJ get traded away? Type trade, type stay. If you think he's going to get traded, type trade. If you think he's going to stay here with the Silver and Black, I want you to type stay. My answer coming up here after this YouTube ad break. I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to say trade. And the only reason why I say that is because clearly there is something that we don't know about. They are making so many excuses to why Jackson Powers-Johnson isn't starting and why he's the only guy from what it seems like right now competing for a spot. But why isn't DJ Glaze competing for a spot? Why isn't Jordan Meredith competing for a spot? Why isn't Dylan Parham competing for a spot? These are all offensive linemen that are worse than Jackson Powers-Johnson. And I know that he's been battling some concussion issues, but to me at this point, I would bet more money that he's not a member of the Raiders next offseason or at the trade deadline than him finishing out his first contract with the Silver and Black. Let's go to Edgar Gonzalez. You're next up here on the show. What's your confidence level of this O-line if JPJ starts instead of Crappa? I mean, my offensive line right now, like confidence level, I don't see how you could say anything higher than a 5. Like, I love JPJ, and I think he's a mauler. I think he's exactly the type of player that this offensive line needs right now because Dylan Parham's getting pushed around, Jordan Meredith is getting pushed around, DJ Glaze is getting pushed around. We need some physicality in here, but I'm going to go like a 4 with JPJ because without him, it's a 1. Like, and I mean that. Without JPJ, my confidence level right now in this Raiders offensive line, which is historically bad, would be a 1. With Jackson Powers Johnson, I'm going to go with a 4. What up, Lamont? Who gets fired this offseason poll, please? I'm not going to put up a poll because we are live for Thursday Night Football, but if you were to look at this coaching staff and from top to bottom, who are some people that we should move on from? I mean, again, Brennan Carroll is the obvious name that I look at, and I think that the Brennan Carroll fire people, me included, are only going to get louder and louder, and especially in the Chicago Bears game, because to me, Chicago's got one of the worst defensive lines in the NFL, getting after the quarterback and stopping the run. And if the Raiders can't look decent against Chicago, I don't know who the hell you're going to look decent against. And to me, you've got to be able to figure it out because Indy's going to eat you up. Tennessee, we'll see what that team looks like. But the Chiefs, man, we just got to be ready to go for that Week 7 game against Kansas City. And quite frankly, I would like to be 4-3 by the time we hit our bye week in Week 8. Let's go to the next one coming in here on the show. Sorry, that's on me. Reminder, if you want to get your questions, comments in, it's hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. What up, Still Tripping? Genty, not bad, but this team effed up not getting Armin Membu. Yeah, again, I mean, I don't want to sit back and say that I wish the Raiders would have got Armin Membu. Does it suck watching how dominant he is at right tackle right now? Yes, but to me, I'm not upset that the Raiders drafted Genty. I'm upset that the Raiders drafted Genty and didn't do anything to this offensive line besides take away the second best offensive lineman on this roster. Like, to me, if you're going to go out and draft Genty, that's fine. We need to invest in the offensive line. The way that the Raiders handled drafting Genty at number 6, quite frankly, is malpractice. And quite frankly, it's almost a fireable offense because it shows me that the knowledge that I thought that this organization had, I'm just a little bit more concerned about it because the actions are not backing up what the words were saying. And this team clearly doesn't value the trenches. So if you value the trenches, I want you to hit that subscribe button. I know we've been pumping out lots and lots of content here on the Raiders Report. And I'll say this, I still believe in Pete Carroll. I still believe in this Raiders team. I still believe that we can figure it out. But I am somebody where you can believe in something, but I'm never not going to tell you how I feel. And I hope that you guys at home treat your family members the exact same way. I hope you treat your friends the exact same way. I hope that you feel that you're a real one here because we have a real life relationship because I'm an honest person and I want people to be honest with me. If that's the type of Raiders content you want, I promise you, hit that subscribe button. Let's go to my man, Steven Stockgarten, all the way from Deutschland. Is Trey Tucker our wide receiver 1? Actually, I say yes. I still say no, and the only reason why that I say that is because I'm a targets guy. I'll look at where the targets are going. There's more targets for Jakobi Meyers. There's more targets for Brock Bowers when these guys are both healthy. I think what you're seeing right now is an uptick for Trey because teams are trying to take away Jakobi. They're trying to take away Brock Bowers, but you got to be impressed from what you've seen from Tucker. He's clearly showing that he's growing. He's clearly showing you that he's getting better, and the Raiders are using him the right way. We got more questions coming up here in just a moment, but huge shout out to today's sponsor, PrizePicks. Wait till you see my lineup that I have for the Raiders game this upcoming week, because I'm telling you this right now, it's a doozy. This show is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. PrizePicks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. If you want to see my lineup that I'm rolling with here for the Raiders game, I took Jalen Hurts, 0.5 passing yards, took the more on that one, obviously. Genty, less than 12.5 receiving yards. Brock Bowers, need a touchdown there. Dante Thornton, more. Jakobi Meyers, more. Trey Tucker, more. Trey Tucker, 36.5 receiving yards. I'm telling you all this right now. If you just wanted to do a 2, because reminder, on PrizePicks, you can just pick 2. You could go Jalen Hurts. You could go Trey Tucker. I think that those are almost a lock to end up hitting. But no matter what, if you plan on watching the Raiders game, I want you to have something to root for, even if the team is struggling. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Let's go to John Rodriguez. Mitch, is Pete Carroll making any changes to the offensive line? I mean, I think that the change that they're going to make is just putting JPJ at right guard. And, you know, like to me, I don't know why they ever thought Alex Kappa would be a better option than Jackson Powers-Johnson, but the changes that Pete Carroll and this staff are working on, I think it's just going to be JPJ at right guard. And, you know, I said it yesterday on the show that I did where I was like, I don't understand how Pete can say absolutely not to moving JPJ to center. And he says like, oh, we've been working on it all off season. But then like a few minutes later, he's like, oh, well, the preseason doesn't matter. You know, like we're just learning these players. It's only 3 weeks. It's like, well, which one is it, Pete? Because to me, I just don't think that you guys know your team all that well. Let's go to Raider Rick. Appreciate you, dude. Sadly, Pete's too annoyed this early. JPJ gets traded this year. Pretty sad you risk careers like Genti, Gino because ego to prove a point. I'm out on Pete. And I'll say this, you know, like the amount of Raider fans that have told me they are out on Pete Carroll, it's staggering. And I don't think it's because the Raiders are 1-2. I think people are out on Pete Carroll or starting to be out on Pete Carroll because he's showing you some Josh McDaniels-like tendencies of, I know more than anybody else out there. I don't care if there are stats, if it's tape. Well, I'm going to do what I want to do. And the answer of absolutely not was a very emotional answer, again, to a valid question. And I'm just getting nervous that we're just saying things to say things instead of actually having meaning to behind our words. Because if Pete Carroll is saying what he's saying to the media and it sounds kind of empty at times in what he's saying, I almost wonder what he's saying to the players. You know, is it the exact same thing? I don't really know. Let's go to Raider Nation 77. With the way things are looking in the AFC, do you think the entire AFC West can make the playoffs? No. I mean, right now, the Broncos, Raiders, and Chiefs are all 1-2. I don't think that all 3 of those teams are going to end up making it. Do I think the Chargers right now are going to make it? Yeah, it seems like the top team in this division. But no, I do not think that all 3 AFC West. I don't think the Broncos are good enough. I don't think the Raiders are good enough right now. The only reason why I would say yes to the Chiefs is because they've been there, done that. But my eyes tell me that the only playoff caliber team in the AFC West, as it stands right now, is the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's go to Christian. You're next up here, man. Will Michael Mayer play this week? And if not, Besh, are you saying bench? Oh, Besh, Dante, and Ian Thomas, who has the best game? All right, so I'll be real. I'm filming this video on Thursday. Michael Mayer did not practice on Thursday. If he doesn't practice on Friday, 0% chance that he's going to be playing in this upcoming week's game. And I would put this right now, 1% chance that Mayer is playing based on the information that's been, shared to us thus far. If you're asking me then out of Besh, Dante, and Ian, let's show this right now. Shout out to Chugs. Jack Besh. So let's just say again, no Michael Mayer. Mayer's not playing. Out of these 3 players, who do you think makes the biggest impact in week 4? If you think it's Besh, type 18. If you think it's Dante, type 10. If you think it's Ian Thomas, type 80. Out of these right here, I'm going to go with 10. And I'm going to say Dante Thornton Jr. And the only reason why that I'm going to go that route is because if no Mayer, that tells me they're probably going to run more 11 personnel, which means 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end. And if that's the case, Thornton's going to get some more opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type my 10 for Dante Thornton. Let's go to David Machado. New theory. Wilkins kissed JPJ in the head, and JPJ was going to talk to HR. Now he's paying for it. Thoughts? Oh, man. Chugs is back there laughing because I'm not going to lie to you, David. I said this same thing 2 months ago. I'm not saying that this is what I was told. I am not saying anything in this regard, but I said something to Chugs, and I'm not going to say it on this program, but he's smiling at me right now. this thought has gone through my head multiple times. This is something that I've told Chugs 2 months ago. There was something else that I'm not going to mention that I told him that I've heard, and I'll just leave it like that. I'm not, again, to me, though, I think this is a valid question for you to bring up, and I say that simply because something else is going on with this Jackson Powers-Johnson situation that we don't know about, and because it's such a weird situation, you're going to get questions like this, and I don't blame you for asking it. Let's go to Ivan. What do you think about Pete making Patrick Graham use a lot more cover 3 defense this season? To me, I think whatever Pete wants to be able to try to implement for this defense, I'm okay with it. I don't mind cover 3. Cover 3 sometimes is very much like not what Patrick typically does, but Patrick Graham's defenses are very much bend but don't break. Like, here's the defense, here's what we're going to do. Yes, we want a lot of versatile players, but I think that we're trying to do cover 3 because we don't have a true free safety. We don't have a true guy that can go in the back end. We also don't have a lot of guys right now that are able to get after the quarterback. Like, I think cover 3 with our dudes, if we blitz more, could be a lot more effective. If you just sit back and cover 3 and expect our players to be able to cover the offense, I think that's where we're going to get bit, and we've kind of gotten bit over the past 2 weeks. Let's go to Rebel Montana. JPJ and Jacoby trade rumors. Is this a sign? I mean, again, I have not seen anybody report about JPJ trade. I have not seen anybody report about Jacoby Myers. I also have not been given any information. But to me, I'll tell you this right now, there's going to be reports about JPJ trade rumors. And it's just going to happen because the media also is going to start to catch on to everything that's happening here. But Jacoby, it'll happen once if the Raiders are bad, then yeah, these types of players, there's going to be more and more trade rumors around. I don't want to trade JPJ, and I don't want to trade Jacoby Myers. Now, this is a big game, okay? It's a big game for both sides. It's a big game because both of these teams are obviously trying to get to 2-2, but for the Raiders, it's a home game. And the last time you were at home, you shit the bed. Quite frankly, saying that you shit the bed is actually a compliment based on the way that we played. Raider Nation deserves better. We want to see a team that shows some confidence. We want to see a team that gives us hope. And I expect a team that is prepared, because if you get your ass kicked the way they got your ass kicked on Monday Night Football, and then you got your ass kicked the way that you did in Week 3 against the Commanders, this is the type of game where we're going to know what type of coach Pete Carroll is, what type of team we got. And I expect a team that shows up. I will not tolerate the type of performance and effort that I have seen the past 2 weeks. And if that's the effort I get, if y'all think I've been loud now, wait until you hear me on Monday, Pete. Wait until you hear me on Monday, Brennan. Wait until you hear me on Monday, Chip Kelly.